Push Square just put out this article that says, rumor, Gears of War collection will be revealed for PS5 this summer. Now, many of you know my position on this whole exclusivity thing. I say let exclusivity die 1,000 deaths. I do not like the practice because, to be honest, I want to be able to play games on a machine that I choose to invest in. But I also understand, and I'm not naive enough to realize that some publishers and even some developers want to make deals happen. Some of them want to push consoles. Some of them want to get development costs recuperation. So they make deals. You know, the publisher will go to the dev and say, hey, man, this game that you're cooking up here, why not give it, to us for a year or 6 months or whatever, and we'll give you so-and-so concessions. They both get in bed and they come up with this anti-consumer fomented deal that makes, or at least puts people in a position where they probably have to go ahead and buy that console. And this is in the third-party developer side, to play or buy that box to play the game. In the case of the first party, there's a right? We made the game, we made the console, we want it here, go ahead and do that. But here's the crazy thing. Xbox decided that they were going to go ahead and ignore this practice after having done it for a long time and start to put their games elsewhere. I want to go ahead and make a proposal or a proposition right now, or I guess I would say this. I want to call Xbox out. Xbox, what are you guys doing? You guys are wasting so much time in taking these games of yours and putting them on PlayStation. I'm sorry, but I think this is such a waste of time. They are not aggressive enough. They've already pretty much conditioned all of the news outlets to expect these games going. They better get on it. I'm just saying. The reason I say that is because there are a lot of these older games, and believe you me, ladies and gentlemen, the games that I've played the most from, say, an individual publisher, you could probably list Ubisoft and PlayStation as two publishers that I've played their games more than any other individual publisher. Maybe put in a Warner Brothers game there because I play fighting games, so I played Injustice and Mortal Kombat and all that stuff. But I've been looking through PlayStation's library, and yes, they've been putting some community-based games there, but there are some titles that are like these single-player titles, right, that I think the PlayStation fandom is going to really enjoy because it will open up some really interesting conversations. And to be honest, if it's nothing, I think Quantum Break and Sunset Overdrive, 2016, 2018, I think these games should probably go on there and get like a relaunch or a remaster, if you get what I mean, right? This is probably the kind of game that you can use for some real serious marketing. But I do understand, again, that, from a business perspective, a game like Age of Empires, which is a game that is played in a community sense and allows for longevity, creates a franchise that you can go ahead and monetize over time, would be more appropriate. However, I strongly believe that there's some conversation to be had here. I say this for two reasons. Reason number one, okay, yes, stick with me here. Reason number one, Quantum Break is that third-person over-the-shoulder type game. This is something that, we on the PlayStation side, some of us anyways, we've enjoyed. Now, I have access to playing this game. Have I played it? No time. Okay? I'm just saying from the PlayStation, gamer archetype, this is going to be a really cool fit. And then this one, though, this one's going to be some sauce. That's all this game is going to be there for. I actually played a little bit of this game on Game Pass, and I thought, yeah, what an interesting proposition, what an interesting game. But to take an Insomniac game from Xbox and put it on PlayStation, I strongly believe is really going to make some real interesting, talking points across the board. And this is just PR strategy more than anything else. Okay, how are they going to pull this off? Get a bunch of newbies and a bunch of interns and say, hey, guys, here are the files, and y'all are going to go out there and you guys are going to, pretty much take this game. You're going to do a remaster of the game or whatever it is. You're going to tweak some textures. You're going to go ahead and do some really cool stuff. And when it's all said and done, you're going to pretty much package it, zip it up, and we're going to put it on PlayStation. You're going to make a PS port for this particular title. I don't know, man. I see some conversations happening that at the end of the day, you would be hard pressed to not say anything about this. Now, all of this in tongue in cheek, but you have to also come back and admit that the entire thing has been, in my opinion, a very interesting PR ploy, even more than the copies of the games that have been sold on PlayStation. Fine, Call of Duty is going to sell a lot of copies. No one is saying anything about that, right? But check out what's going on right now, and that is the fact that PlayStation's output is hindered by many different factors. One of them is just the risk involved in today's day and age is not necessarily the same. What I mean by that is back in the day, you could punch out a $60-ish million game. Ghost of Tsushima, I heard, from what we heard, is about $60 million in terms of its development cost. But now if you wanted to replicate something like that, it will probably be costing you a little bit more, right? If you want to do a God of War game, you might as well cough up $200 million. This is not necessarily something that is easily available in terms of just the risk that PlayStation wants to take at the moment. So what Xbox now has is the leverage. Old games, low budget, easy deployment to put on PlayStation's platform. And games like these, Sunset Overdrive, and possibly even the Halo game that is being rumored by Push Square, will make its way into that ecosystem and then start to fill the gap. An audience member of mine put it in a very interesting way as to how eventually, when they put enough video games, because they have the studios, they have the publishers under the Microsoft brand to put out many games, which has basically taken them from third place in the industry to be the biggest publisher on PlayStation, almost pretty much. They can now eventually make PlayStation an ecosystem where its gamers depend on them for games. If they can pull that off by taking different kinds of games, different caliber of games, a diverse range of games coming from live service, some old single players, and so on and so forth, it just opens up the door where the PlayStation player is looking forward to playing Xbox games even more. Because many people did not realize it. But what's happened now is PlayStation players are looking forward to Xbox games. I mean, who would have ever thought that in the mix of everything that we're hearing, right? Because this is what you hear. You will see comments that will go like, man, nobody cares about these Xbox games, bro. But the only reason a lot of people say that is because these Xbox games are not even in their, within their reach. And they don't want to take the extra time to go find those games, right? But now that the game's on their ecosystem, now that the game's on their platform, well, believe you me, apparently all of a sudden they want these games. They're pre-ordering these games. They're basically taking these games and putting them up in charts, which means that what the fanboydom is saying on the internet is very distinct from what the gamers that are playing these games are actually doing. You see, there's talk the talk and then there's walk the walk. I fire up the comment section. I fire up the announcement on Twitter, and I see people, dogpiling on Forza, right? Or making fun of Xbox fans for it, right? But then when it comes to walk the walk, you open up the book and you see, oh, crud. It seems like the walk people are actually ordering Forza Horizon at a high, decadence compared to the other titles out here. And yes, maybe there's nothing too groundbreaking. That's why the pre-orders are, in a sense, kind of high. But again, I guess it would lend to, the frame of mind of Xbox to have looked at the release windows and slotted their games in there. Because these games are old. Had they gone to slot it in a different time frame, say for instance with Monster Hunter Wilds, everybody should have known quickly to steer clear of that if you were coming in with nothing new. And they knew exactly what it is. So as a publisher who's been publishing games on their platform and PC, they've had to basically learn very carefully, and PlayStation as well too, how to pretty much thread the market to be able to get what I think is high levels of impact. So they waited for Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. They waited for Monster Hunter, Wilds. And then with MLB The Show, which has basically got its own niche audience, and WWE 2K25, which already has its niche audience, bam, they slotted it right in there. Assassin's Creed is going through its own little whatever. I don't think it's a threat to many games. Like, this would probably be the perfect time to have launched almost anything with an Assassin's Creed game, because Assassin's Creed game has gone through so much. That's Ubisoft's own problem to deal with, but it's definitely something that they could look at the end of the day. So bringing the Xbox, titles, the old ones to PlayStation, is one that I think has to be done with a lot of tact. So yes, as much as I'm yelling at Xbox saying you guys are slow and you guys are not moving very fast, I mean it in a way that they need to move in a way that they not only just bring the games, but they expose PlayStation gamers to a plethora of games that they have, and using the force of exactly their old library of games to pretty much introduce these PlayStation, gamers to their, franchises. They can open up an entirely interesting door out there. I don't know what happened to the old Fable games, to be very honest, but I think this may be an opportunity with the Fable delay to possibly get, again, a bunch of interns, a small team, to go ahead and remaster some of these titles. And just like they want to do with the Gears games, bring them into the PlayStation ecosystem before the other Fable game launches, if they want to take the other Fable game to PlayStation. It's not going to hurt anything. These are my thoughts on the issue. Talk to me in the comment section. Hopefully we'll talk pretty soon in another one. Peace out.